Hi, welcome to this week's Fireside Chat here from my kitchen. As usual, you can see the little Fireside Chat picture. I'm worried that it's going to start to work its way into the paint on the wall as a permanent fixture, and that's okay. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying it because on the other end of this recording happens to be Judy Zarubik, who is making all the tech work well. I send her a script for all of this and the links for any videos that we have, and as well as the PowerPoint, and she has to go through it. So by the time all is said and done, she probably sees this 3 different times in 3 different ways. So thank you, Judy. Thank you also to Terry Boyd, who renders the recording for our YouTube channel, from which you are getting this Fireside Chat. And it's wonderful the way that our community of faith has come together to make this happen. Now, as many of you know, I love puns. The more the merrier. Here's a series of puns based on one prearranged photo image. I must admit, my passion for puns might get me in trouble when I die. For me, during this pandemic, I've stayed home far more than ever before. My even more sedentary life has had some side effects. For some of us who watch too much news out of worry and a desire to keep abreast of each new development, some strategies work better than others to survive the onslaught. With so many of us cooped up together, this may be how it feels. Still others cling to old routines to keep a sense of normalcy. However, not every person in each household wishes to follow along. For those seeking relationships online during this pandemic, caution is essential. Many of us have just decided to ignore the elephant in the room. Thanks to Rod Coates for that one. The elephant in the room is we are feeling dislocated, much like this. In the midst of our stress, as we continuously adjust to the realities of the second wave of this pandemic, there are some things that bring comfort. There are some traditions which bring soothing to our soul and peace for our worries. I want to share with you a video featuring 140 New York City singers and instrumentalists who sing the hymn, "How Can I Keep From Singing?" It speaks of God's presence in the middle of lamentation, the movement of the Spirit throughout the tumult and strife of life, of joy in the gloom of despair, of resurrection life, even in the face of death. Let's watch and listen.
No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? around me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the cloud grows thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day this pathway smooths. Since first I learned to love it, no storm can shake my inmost calm. I hear the music ringing, it sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? 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 Keep singing. Keep singing.
The calming generated by the assurance of the lyrics soothes us and calms us. We sigh with contentment, finding our place within God's embrace more fully. The words ring in our ears and we affirm, how can we keep from singing? Yet the Prince of Peace did not proclaim that message all by itself. There is much more that Jesus exhorted believers to create. Jesus called his followers and calls us to co-create the reign of God in the here and now, to create systems of justice and of community that care for each person. However, there is challenge to our usual perceptions of what is possible. You keep pairing me with quiet, Peace said, but my true companion is the mighty clamor of chains being ripped clean from the wall. In hearing those words, we balk and look around as if there was someone else to whom the Prince of Peace was speaking. Instead, we quickly notice Jesus is speaking directly to us. Who, me? We protest. How can you consider me brave enough, daring enough, strong enough, courageous enough to make our society's systems more just? Besides, we temporize, look at all the mistakes I've made in my own life. I'm not made of the right stuff. I'm not up to the job. How can little old me make any difference? Jesus' reply is quick and incisive. Well, why not? We sputter and blow, but there is no good answer. Why not indeed? After all, we keep clinging to the transformation implied in the video of the hymn we just watched. We keep proclaiming the way of Jesus as one of new life, of new possibility, of new opportunities. Consider this. The butterfly does not look back at the caterpillar in shame, just as you would not look back at your past in shame. Your past was part of your own transformation. In fact, as Nadia Bolz-Weber says, never once did Jesus scan the room for the best example of holy living and send that person out to tell others about him. He always sent stumblers and sinners. I find that comforting. So here we are, you and me. We're just ordinary people. In the face of the challenges of life, we feel inadequate. For example, if someone is grieving, we find our tongues tied, unsure of what to say that would bring comfort, how to act when we can't reach out and just hug them in their pain. We are afraid of saying the wrong thing, that our words would wound instead of heal. Yet, what Jesus modeled for us when we seek to heal, to bring wholeness out of brokenness, we just need to be with one another, listening attentively. A poem written by Patricia McKernan Runkle, a poet, writer, musician, and theologian from Harvard Divinity School, breathes guidance for us when we meet someone deep in grief. Close your eyes as you listen. Slip off your needs and set them by the door. Enter barefoot this darkened chapel, hollowed by loss, hallowed by sorrow. Its gray stone walls and floor. You, congregation of one, are here to listen, not to sing. Kneel in the back pew. Make no sound. Let the candles speak. It is in our listening that we most fully touch one another with healing. Consider this image. The man doesn't know that there's a snake underneath. The woman doesn't know that there is a stone crushing the man. The woman thinks, I am going to fall and I can't climb because the snake is going to bite me. Why can't the man use a little more strength and pull me up? The man thinks, I'm in so much pain, yet I am still pulling you as much as I can. Why don't you try and climb a little harder? The moral is, you can't see the pressure the other person is under, and the other person can't see the pain you are in. This is life, whether it's with work, family, feelings, or friends. We should try to understand each other. Our job as followers of Jesus' way is to learn to think differently, to share more clearly, and to communicate better. A little thought and patience goes a long way, especially if we empathize with one another, walking in one another's shoes. As Desmond Tutu has written, My humanity is bound up with yours, for we can only be human together. This is the South African philosophy of Ubuntu. It is the same thing I believe Jesus was trying to get us to live. We are worthy of reaching out to each other, even in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. We are worthy because God equips us despite any faults we believe hold us back. It is in the caring, in the justice creating, in the loving one another with the riskiest situations when we truly follow the way of Jesus. French-Algerian philosopher, author, and journalist Albert Camus writes of his own revelation of this abiding truth about our own possibilities. He writes, "In the midst of hate, I found there was within me an invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found there was within me an invincible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized through it all that in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. And that makes me happy. For it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me, there's something, someone stronger, something better, pushing right back." I want to share with you a prayer written by Reverend Anna Bladel. Now, Anna is a passionate, queer, feminist, justice-seeking minister in the United Methodist Church in the United States. She was formerly the theologian in residence at the Drew University. About 4 years ago, she officiated at a wedding service for a same-sex couple, which is against the church's book of order for ministry personnel for her denomination. As a result, late last year, she was forced to resign from her position as Director of Spiritual Formation and Campus Minister for the University of Iowa Wesley Foundation. I have followed some of her writing over the past 6 years, which has helped me even more deeply grow in understanding of queer issues of justice. Even when hurt deeply and wounded by her colleagues in her denomination, she found the energy to write about Jesus' call to justice and to embracing our shared humanity, to listening to one another as the walking wounded on the pathway of healing hope. I felt that her words matched many of the conversations I have had with a number of you over the 7 months of this pandemic. I offer them to you as a prayer of blessing in the midst of pain. As you view this image of the light of Christ in the coming slide, may you find communion. Let us pray. Blessed are you who are raging. Blessed are you who are mourning. Blessed are you who feel numb. Blessed are you who feel sick and tired and sick and tired. Blessed are you who refuse to turn away. Blessed are you who need to turn away. Blessed are you who keep breathing deep. Blessed are you who are tending to your own needs. And blessed are you who are tending to the needs of another. Blessed are you who have been calling. Blessed are you who have been organizing. Blessed are you who have been testifying. Blessed are you who have been hearing. Blessed are you who have been resisting. And blessed are you who are raw beyond words. Blessed are you who are working hotlines and crisis care centers and bearing witness to the forces of violence and trauma unleashed and unloosed. Blessed are you who are marching. Blessed are you who are weeping. Blessed are you who preach and know that divinity resides in despised, abused, violated flesh. Blessed are you who know deep in your bones that you are good and beautiful and beloved and sacred and worthy and believed and held and capable of healing beyond your wildest imagination. Blessed are you who remind others they are good and beautiful and beloved and sacred and worthy and believed and held and capable of healing beyond their wildest imagination. Blessed are we when we dare to dream of a world without sexual violence, without white supremacy, without misogyny, without police brutality, without anti-trans and anti-queer violence. Blessed are we when we stay tender. Blessed are we when we stay fierce. Blessed are we when we dare to imagine repair and transformation. Blessed are we when we labor together to make it so. Amen. I wanted to share with you some really good news from our refugee committee in town. You may know that on September, the Almeri family arrived from Lebanon after living in a Lebanese refugee camp for 6 years, and after having fled Syria 7 years ago. The husband and father of the family, Mohammed, was stuck in Algeria, and he has just left Frankfurt, Germany, and is winging his way across the Atlantic Ocean to Pearson Airport. And I get the privilege of picking him up from the airport this afternoon, just before supper time. So please keep the family in your heart and prayers. He will be isolating for 2 weeks at the Knox Presbyterian Church Manse. And it won't even be able to see his family except if they stand on the front lawn a number of meters distant while they share stories with him of what it's been like to be in Canada for just about a month. Other piece of news, the church building is still closed. And especially in light of the second wave of this pandemic, the council was originally thinking of opening this fall, but seeing what happened with the fact that we've expanded, like in Kincardine, we've gone from 6 identified cases of COVID-19 to now 10. That has been alarming, and therefore we want to make sure that we protect the most vulnerable among us. So I just wanted to give you that update. I want to leave you with a sung blessing from the deep roots of the Celtic tradition. It is also found in our Voices United hymn book on page 349. As you listen to the words woven together with the music, lean into God's presence within you and surrounding you, always.
May the Christ who walks on wounded feet walk with you on the road. May the Christ who stands with wounded hands stretch out your hands to serve. May the Christ who loves with a wounded heart open up your hearts
Just as Christ was wounded, so we share those wounds. Let that music carry you through the rest of the day. Until next week, goodbye.